Good morning, friends. Today we are dealing with a new poem, Freedom by Rabindranath Tagore. It is your prescribed poem in second sem common text Zeitgeist, and this poem included in the first module, Constitution, Freedom and Constitution. To talk about author, as very familiar Indian writer, music composer, playwright, philosopher, and born in Bengal. He is a social reformer, freedom fighter, and painter too. He reshaped Bengali literature and music as well as Indian art with the tinge of modernism in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. He is author of the profoundly sensitive, fresh, and beautiful verses you might have known about Geetanjali, which brought first Nobel Prize in Literature to India. He is the first non-European to win the Nobel Prize in Literature. Tagore's poetic songs were viewed as spiritual and mercurial, however, his elegant prose and magical poetry. It remains largely unknown outside Bengal. He is sometimes referred to as the Bard of Bengal. So, friends, we can start the poem. Freedom. Freedom from fear is the freedom I claim for you, my motherland. I told you he was very much indulged in the freedom fighting when India was under British control. Freedom from fear is the freedom. You know what is the first freedom, the most prominent problem when we are chained? Fear. So he claims for freedom from fear is the freedom that India or the motherland wants. I claim for you my motherland. Here the poet is addressing India, motherland. So he wishes his motherland to have the freedom from fear. Freedom from the burden of the ages, bending your head, breaking your back, blinding your eyes to the beckoning call of the future. What really happens here? He is comparing India to an aging woman, an old woman. What he says here? What are the freedom that he wants? It is freedom from fear. And years of British rule or the colonial rule has made India, the motherland, to an aging woman. And it got the burdens of ages, bending your head. The head of motherland is bent out of this burden, out of the shame, breaking your back, breaking back with the hard work, blinding your eyes. It is eyes were blinded with the beckoning call of the future. India can't dream about the future. The beckoning means inviting call, invitation of the future. So India is under the British control. It can't even dream about the future. So what here we have to notice is that there is an alliteration. You have to notice the alliteration. What is the alliteration? Repetition of the sound. Freedom from fear. Freedom from fear. These are repeated in the first line. Emphasizes the importance or the urgency of his call for Indian independence. And why the word freedom is repeated here? To emphasize the importance or the poet's deep wish for his country to be independent. And in the second lines, we have the images of an aging mother, burdens of ages there. It refers to the yoke of English control of India. How much years English has been ruling India. Now, freedom from the shackles of slumber, wherewith you fasten yourself in night's stillness. And what are the freedom? Again, he asks for India. It is from the shackles. Shackles means chains. Chains of slumber. Slumber means in a state of sleep or ignorance. It may be ignorance or state of sleep. And he wants freedom from the chains of ignorance, wherewith you fasten yourself in night's stillness. Night may be a comparison to the ignorance. And it can be all the superstitions that was once prevailing. Still it happens in India. If you are just comes out of the ignorance or from the superstitions, then only we can think about or dream about future. Mistrusting the star that speaks of truth, adventures, paths. If you are ignorant, if you are chained with such misbeliefs, what will happen? You will mistrust. Trust means you will trusting one, and opposite mistrust. You can't trust, you can't find faith or belief in the star that speaks of truth's adventures. In each path there is a future that is waiting for us, for India. And in this future, there is truth. It speaks about the true path. This is the way that India you can go through. This is the way you can find a bright future. But if we are ignorant about such knowledge, if you are sleeping under the chains of ignorance or misbeliefs, what will happen? You won't believe in the truth. You won't believe in the directions, proper directions. Freedom from the anarchy of destiny. What are the freedom that again Tagore asks for? It from the anarchy. What is anarchy? Arajagatam of destiny. And we want, what is the destiny? That will, we will always complain about it is our destiny. It is mere destiny, what we can do. But Tagore says we want freedom from the anarchy of destiny. All sails are weakly yielded to the blind uncertain winds. Here, Tagore compares India's present, then present, colonized state into a ship without a proper captain or a captain without proper ideas, without giving proper directions how to reach the shore. And all sails are weakly yielded to the blind, uncertain winds. So who leads the ship now? Uncertain winds. When wind flows in this way, the ship goes that way. When wind blows in the opposite direction, the ship also goes in that way. So India, the colonized India is compared to, it is a metaphor, compared to a ship without a captain to lead it into the aim or into the destination, and the helm to a hand ever rigid and cold as death. So wind, what is the wind here? It is a helm to a hand, ever rigid and cold as death. The captain, or the one who leads the ship is very rigid and as cold as death. So India lacks a proper captain, a proper leader to lead it into a clear path or reach into a clear or aim. It is very rigid, it is not flexible, it is very cold as death. And again our poet asks for freedom from the insult of dwelling in a puppet's world. So poet is comparing the colonized India to what? Puppet, a world of puppet. What is the specialty or what is the condition of puppet's world? Puppet can't move with its own strength. Puppet can't think. Puppet is not free to move with its own legs. So Indian people are like this. They can't control themselves. They were insulted and they are not too free to move in their own legs. So he asks freedom from the insult of dwelling is living in a puppet's world. So they want to be free. They want to be live like a human being. They want to be free themselves. Where movements are started through brainless wires. In puppets world, their movements are always controlled by brainless wires. You might have shown even at least the pictures of puppet play. And here the puppet's hands and legs, head, everything will be changed, or it is connected with a wire. And when someone moves behind the curtain, these wires, they moves according to the clear instruction or clear rules and regulation by the one who stands behind the curtain. And it is he uses brainless, without thinking. So the British rule is compared to brainless wires. They are controlling Indian people and playing puppet play with Indian people without thinking about their future or their condition, and repeated through mindless habits. So this puppet movement or this colonial rule is repeated through mindless habits. They are not even thinking about Indians' condition, about their future, about their existence, where figures wait with patience and obedience for the master of shore. Indians are compared to what? Puppets or figures, just figures, without mind, without thoughts, without thinking about their condition, without having any future. They are inanimate object. Wait with patience. Patience is a burden sometimes, especially when it comes about the thoughts of chains or lack of freedom, and obedience for the master of show. And they're very obedient, very much patiently waiting for the instructions of their master to control themselves. So Tagore asks freedom from this mindless habits or this chains, and to make Indians free from such a pathetic or slave-like life, to be stirred into mimicry of life. What is this life? It is just to be stirred into the mimicry of life. What is mimicry? Just a copying, a mocking copying of original life. So India's life is compared to what it is presently under the British rule. It is just a mimicry of life. Okay, friends. So paraphrasing of the poem is over. So, in this poem, Tagore is deeply concerned about the colonized circumstances and pathetic slavery condition of Indian people. He asks for freedom from each and every problems that India faces now. It may be freedom from the fear, it is freedom from the ignorance, freedom from the superstition, freedom from the rulers who is mindless towards the people, who is not thinking about the condition of the people and just ruling. So, this poem, we can see the poet is deeply concerned about the problem faces by Indians under the colonial rule and under the colonial British rulers who ruled Indians from sitting there in the London, and they just assigned East India Company to rule India. That may be a reference to wireless, wireless ruling of the puppets. Okay, thank you.